So this is a story about primroses, which are the first flowers of springtime. And they feature a lot of folk tales and have a lot of things connected to them. And this is also about a place called Goblin Coombe, which is a real place and is in Somerset. It's in northern Somerset, so do go carefully if you visit the area. So the story, it was a sunny spring afternoon, Easter time. Children had gone out to pick primroses, and there was one little 3-year-old girl who wandered away by herself, as 3-year-olds will do, distracted by all of the flowers she could gather from the banks and the ground, and she followed her nose right down into Goblin Coombe. Being so little, she didn't know any better. She didn't know the place's reputation, hidden in the name. When the little one looked up and realised that nothing around her was familiar and she was lost, she burst into tears, and the tears ran down her little face and onto her pinafore, and she put her big bunch of primroses down on a rock. And she sat down with her back against the rock, and she sobbed, scared of being all alone, filling the air with her 3-year-old's inconsolable grief. She didn't know about Goblin Coombe, though. She didn't know that that rock was an entrance to the fairy realm, and that primroses were the key. But the rock opened up, and there were all these little people rushing out and comforting her. They could see that she was innocent and hadn't meant to disturb them, so they gave her a ball made of solid gold to play with, and they danced and sang so that she quite forgot herself and started to smile, and then she started to jump, and then she started to laugh, and the next thing you know, she's there and she's dancing with them. The hours flew by. In time, though, not even the most determined 3-year-old can stay awake, and so the fairies put the bunch of primroses back in her little sleeping hands and transported her home. Her parents found her sleeping soundly in bed early that evening, with the primroses and the golden ball beside her on the pillow. When she woke up, she told her parents the story of what had happened. It was the wonder of the village. Everyone talked about it for weeks. There was a ne'er-do-well, as they said in those days, the kind of man who told everyone how much he knew about everything, and he fancied getting hold of a golden ball or two. The more everyone else told him it was a bad idea and how dangerous Goblin Coombe could be, the more he was determined to do it. So he picked a bunch of primroses and he went down to Goblin Coombe, although his way was blocked by fallen branches and holes in the ground and dark, foreboding noises coming from the bank. And he was glad enough to get to the rock, after all he'd seen and heard on the way down. And he still had his primroses, and he set them down on the rock. But the problem was, it wasn't the right day. He wasn't the right one, and he didn't have the right number of primroses. As soon as the flowers touched the rock, it opened up, and a black-clad arm reached out, grabbed him by the scruff of the neck, and yanked him inside. The rock closed, crack, and the man was never seen again. So if you go looking for fairies, do be careful.